It has been one of the hottest, most humid summers on record, and the odds are good that your lawn is taking a beating throughout that stressful season. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the most common issues that are popping up in late summertime, how you can get your lawn back on track and thriving throughout the cooler weather that's to come in the fall. Without a doubt, one of the biggest lawn care issues in the late summer has to do with dealing with crabgrass. You may have noticed earlier on in the season, everything looked great in your lawn, and then, especially in my area, around early July is when you're going to notice that crabgrass start to pop up. It's a lime green colored grass which starts small, but if you let it grow, it's going to get bigger to the point where it's going to put out seed heads, and it's also going to block out your healthy grass and keep it from growing. So if you can eliminate that crabgrass by using a selective herbicide, Drive Accelerate is probably your best option when it comes to getting rid of your crabgrass quickly, because you don't want to let it get to seed. If you do, each crabgrass plant can put out up to 150,000 seeds, which means a tiny problem can become a major problem if it's left untreated. Also, preventing crabgrass is a great plan of action. Putting down a pre-emergent herbicide, something like Scott's Halts or prodiamine in the spring when the soil temperatures get between 55 to 60 degrees, it's going to prevent that crabgrass from coming up later on in the season. So if year after year you've had crabgrass issues, pre-emergent applications in the spring are going to be your best plan of attack to keep this from happening. To go along with those grassy weeds like crabgrass, you may also notice an increase in broadleaf weeds like dandelions, creeping Charlie, white clover. Those things can thrive throughout the summer stress because they grow in pretty much any conditions. It doesn't bother them. If you have an issue with broadleaf weeds and you want to get rid of those before you do something like an overseed, my recommendation would be to go with a product like Speed Zone. There's a couple different reasons for that. One, it's heavily concentrated and it's going to knock out those weeds really quickly. And two, after applying that product, you can put down grass seed in that area after only 2 weeks. Other products like Ortho Weed Clear, you have to wait at least 4 weeks, and it doesn't eliminate those weeds as quickly. The next common issue that many people are dealing with, specifically right now in late summertime, has to do with dry, compacted soil, which can lead to becoming hydrophobic, meaning even when you water it, it can't even soak down into the roots where you need it to allow your grass to thrive. A good way to tell if your soil is compacted or not is to do what's called a screwdriver test. Just take a simple screwdriver, push it down into your grass. If it goes in easily, you're probably good to go and you don't really need to take any action other than that. If you notice that your screwdriver, it's really hard to push down even a couple inches into that soil, it's a good indication that you should aerate your lawn. That soil's compact, which isn't allowing air, water, and nutrients to get down to the roots of your grass, which helps it grow and thrive. If you notice that your soil is compact and you do want to aerate, you want to do that under ideal conditions, meaning you don't want to do it in the summer heat where it's 90 degrees. Wait until the cooler temperatures. 80 degrees or below is what I would recommend to aerate your lawn. The next common issue that many people are dealing with in late summertime has to do with disease and fungus that pops up in your lawn. Even if you've done everything right, Mother Nature may have other plans for your grass. So when the temperatures get hot and humid, specifically at nighttime, that's the perfect recipe for lawn disease and fungus, unfortunately. A product like Scott's Disease X has oxystrobin, which is the active ingredient, and it helps prevent things like brown patch and dollar spot, which are common issues that pop up in cool season grass like mine. My recommendation is to put them down as a preventative measure, meaning you notice in the forecast you've got those ideal conditions that are hot and humid, which could possibly cause that disease or fungus. Put it down before that happens. If you try to treat your lawn that already has disease and fungus, it could take a long time for that to bounce back. You're going to deal with ugly brown patches throughout your lawn, and it's just going to be less than ideal. So try to get ahead of that instead of trying to cure it. Last, we want to think about what we're going to do to help strengthen up our turf throughout the ideal growing conditions of the fall. This is the ideal time for dethatching, aerating, fertilizing, overseeding. All those things are steps that you can take to get an absolutely beautiful lawn. Not everybody has to do all of those things, and the two that most people end up doing is fertilizing and overseeding. If you're planning on overseeding your lawn, now is a great time to purchase your grass seed, because if you wait till the last second, you may not be able to get the grass seed you want, and there's a limited time for you to do your overseed. Specifically in my area around Chicago, the ideal time to overseed is in early September. It gives your grass time to be able to germinate, build up its strength throughout the fall, and it also has growing conditions that are ideal for growing that grass. You still have warm soil temperatures, and you get an increased amount of rain throughout the fall, which makes it ideal for growing that grass. When you're purchasing your grass seed, you've got a lot of different options, some being cheap, some being more expensive, but from my experience, choosing an elite quality of grass seed is gonna be your best bet. You're gonna spend a little bit more money up front, but you're gonna get grass that's disease resistant, drought tolerant, all the things you're looking for to building up a healthy, green, beautiful turf. Your grass type is also important. For me, in my backyard, I've got full sun, so I like to grow Kentucky bluegrass or perennial ryegrass. They thrive in these conditions. My front yard is heavily shaded, and that's where tall fescue thrives because it can grow in that shady condition. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.